Stop what you are doing for a moment. Just pause. Take a slow breath. Let everything around you become quiet, because what you are about to read was meant to find you at this exact moment. Not tomorrow, not last week, not someday in the future, but right now, this very second. And there is a reason for that. Something is happening behind the scenes of your life that you cannot see yet. Someone, a real person, not a stranger, not someone imaginary, but someone whose face you already know, whose voice you have already heard, whose presence once meant something very real to you, is going through something deep because of you. Not because you did something wrong, not because you hurt them on purpose, but because you finally did something right. You finally chose yourself. And that single decision broke something open inside of them that they were not ready to face. Before we go deeper, if this kind of message speaks to your soul, if it makes something inside you feel seen, please stay until the very end. Every single word here carries weight. Every sentence has a purpose. And by the time you finish, something inside you will shift. Something will feel lighter. Something will make sense that did not make sense before. Now let us begin. There was a time when you gave everything. You gave your mornings, your nights, your energy, your thoughts, your patience, your forgiveness, your understanding. You gave pieces of yourself that you did not even know you were giving. You bent yourself into shapes that were never natural for you, just to fit into someone else's idea of love. You made yourself smaller so they could feel bigger. You stayed quiet when you wanted to scream. You smiled when your heart was breaking. You pretended things were fine when everything inside you was falling apart. And you did all of this not because you were weak. You did it because you loved deeply. You did it because you believed that if you just gave a little more, tried a little harder, stayed a little longer, things would change. You believed that your loyalty would be rewarded, that your patience would be noticed, that your love would eventually be returned in the same way you gave it. But it was not. Day after day, you poured from a cup that no one was filling back up. Night after night, you waited for words that never came. You checked your phone hoping for a message that showed they were thinking about you the way you were thinking about them. You looked for signs that they cared, that they noticed, that they valued what you were doing. And sometimes you found small things, tiny moments that gave you just enough hope to keep going. But deep down, in the most honest part of your heart, you knew. You knew you were giving more than you were receiving. You knew the balance was broken. You knew something had to change. And then one day it did. It was not a dramatic moment. There was no argument, no fight, no explosion of emotions. There was no goodbye letter, no final conversation, no closing of a door with a loud sound. It was quieter than that, much quieter. It was a moment that happened inside you before it ever showed on the outside. A moment when something shifted in your chest. A moment when you looked in the mirror and saw someone who had been running on empty for far too long. A moment when you heard your own voice, maybe for the first time in a long time, saying, "Enough. I have given enough. I have waited enough. I have hoped enough. It is time to stop losing myself for someone who is not even looking for me." That was the turning point. That was the moment everything changed. Not for them, not yet, but for you. You made a decision that did not need anyone else's permission. You chose to stop chasing. You chose to stop explaining. You chose to stop reaching out first. You chose to stop making excuses for behavior that hurt you. You chose to stop pretending that crumbs were enough when you deserved the whole thing. And you did it with grace. You did not send a hateful message. You did not try to make them feel guilty. You did not post things to get their attention. You did not play games or try to make them jealous. You simply pulled your energy back. You took your love, your care, your attention, and you redirected it toward yourself. You started waking up for you. You started healing for you. You started building a life that did not revolve around someone else's moods and decisions. And here is what they did not expect. They did not expect the silence. They did not expect to wake up one day and realize that you were no longer there in the way you used to be. They did not expect to feel the absence of your warmth, your words, your constant presence. Because in their mind, you were permanent. In their mind, you were the one who would never leave. In their mind, your love was something that would always be available, always waiting, always ready, no matter how little they gave in return. But you proved them wrong, not with words, not with anger, but with the most powerful thing a person can do. You proved them wrong with your silence. And that silence is now echoing inside them, louder than anything you ever said. At first, they did not feel it. They went about their days. They told themselves you were just busy. They assumed you would come back eventually. They thought this was temporary, a phase, a mood. They believed that sooner or later you would reach out again, send that message, make that call, show up at their door with the same love in your eyes, because that is what you always did before. But this time, you did not. Days passed, then weeks, and slowly, very slowly, something started to crack inside them. It was not obvious at first. It was not a sudden pain. It was more like a quiet ache that appeared in moments they did not expect. When they heard a song that reminded them of you. When they passed a place where you once stood together. When they wanted to share something funny and realized they no longer had you to tell it to. When the night became still and there was no one to talk to and your absence filled the room like smoke. They started to feel something they had not felt before. Not just missing you, something deeper than that. They started to feel the weight of what they did not do. The conversations they cut short. The moments they took for granted. The times they chose something else over you. The times they saw you hurting and did nothing. The times they could have held you closer but pushed you away instead. All of those moments started coming back, one by one, like waves that would not stop. And now, they sit with those memories. They carry them everywhere. They think about you in the morning when the world is quiet. They think about you at night when they cannot sleep. They think about you when they are surrounded by people but feel completely alone, because no one fills the space the way you did. No one listens the way you did. No one cares the way you did. And they are starting to realize that what they had with you was not ordinary. It was not something they could easily find with someone else. It was rare. It was real. And they let it slip through their fingers. Now they watch you from a distance. Maybe they check your pictures. Maybe they read your words. Maybe they ask someone about you without admitting why. Maybe they just sit in silence and think about your face, about your laugh, about the way you looked at them when you still believed they would choose you. That memory, the way you looked at them with so much love, it haunts them now. Because they know they did not deserve that look. They know they did not honor what it meant. And they know they may never see it directed at them again. You may not believe this right now. You may think they have forgotten you. You may think they are happy without you. You may think they never cared as much as you did. But let me tell you something that is very important. People do not always show their pain. People do not always admit what they feel. Some people carry the heaviest emotions in complete silence. And just because they have not said anything does not mean they are not feeling everything. They feel it. They feel your absence in their bones. They feel it in the quiet spaces of their day. They feel it in the way nothing seems to fit quite right anymore. They feel it in the way laughter does not reach as deep. They feel it in the way their heart drops a little every time they think they see someone who looks like you. They feel it in ways they cannot even explain to themselves. And the hardest part for them is knowing that they caused this, that they had something beautiful and they did not water it. They did not protect it. They did not fight for it. They let it dry out while you were the only one pouring. And now the garden is empty, and they are the ones standing in it, looking at what used to grow, wishing they had done things differently. You may wonder if they will ever come back. You may wonder if they will ever say the things you once needed to hear. You may wonder if one day your phone will light up with their name and they will finally tell you what you meant to them. And the truth is, they might, or they might not. But that is no longer your burden to carry. You have already done your part. You loved without holding back. You stayed longer than most people would have. You gave chances that were not always deserved. And when you finally left, you left with dignity, with grace, with a quiet strength that most people never develop. That is something to be proud of. Not because you made someone miss you, but because you made yourself a priority after spending so long putting everyone else first. That is not selfishness. That is survival. That is wisdom. That is the kind of love that starts from within and radiates outward. And now look at you. You are still here. You are still breathing. You are still waking up every morning and choosing to keep going. Some days are harder than others. Some nights still feel heavy. Some memories still sting. But you are moving forward, step by step, breath by breath, and every day you are becoming more of who you were always meant to be. Not the version of yourself that was shaped by someone else's needs. Not the version that shrank to keep the peace. Not the version that apologized for having feelings, but the real you. The one who knows their worth. The one who refuses to settle. The one who understands that being alone is better than being with someone who makes you feel lonely. And that version of you is magnetic. That version of you is what they are falling in love with now, from a distance, in silence, in their own regret. Because there is something undeniably powerful about a person who walks away, not out of weakness, but out of strength. There is something unforgettable about someone who loved completely and then loved themselves enough to stop when it was not returned. They see it now, even if they never tell you. They see how you carry yourself differently. They see how your energy has changed. They see that you are no longer waiting, no longer hoping, no longer circling around them like they are the center of your world. And that bothers them, not because they are angry, but because they finally understand that you were the center of theirs. They just did not know it until you were gone. So let me say this to you directly. You did not make a mistake. You did not overreact. You did not ask for too much. You asked for the bare minimum, to be loved the way you loved, to be chosen the way you chose, to be valued the way you valued. And when that was not given to you, you did the bravest thing a person can do. You walked away from something your heart still wanted because your soul knew you deserved more. That is not weakness. That is the greatest strength a human being can show. To love someone and still let go. To care about someone and still choose yourself. To want someone and still walk away because staying would have cost you your peace, your identity, your self-respect. And now the universe is rearranging things, not because you forced it, not because you begged, but because when you step into your truth, when you align with your own worth, life begins to shift around you. Doors open that were closed. People see you who were blind before. Opportunities appear that did not exist when you were pouring all of your energy into someone who could not receive it properly. This is your season, not a season of revenge, not a season of proving anyone wrong, but a season of becoming, a season of returning to yourself. A season of planting new seeds in soil that is finally ready because you stopped giving your water to gardens that were not yours to tend. And that person, the one who is losing sleep over you right now, the one whose heart is heavy with the realization of what they lost, they are part of your story, but they are not the whole story. They are a chapter that taught you something important. They taught you that your love is powerful. They taught you that your presence matters. They taught you that your absence can shake someone to their core. And most importantly, they taught you that you are capable of choosing yourself even when every part of you wanted to stay. Do not go back unless something has truly changed. Do not open that door again just because loneliness knocks. Do not mistake their regret for growth. Regret is easy. Change is hard. And you deserve someone who does not need to lose you to realize your value. You deserve someone who sees you standing right in front of them and chooses you fully, openly, without hesitation. Until that person comes, or if that person is already within you, be your own home, be your own comfort, be your own safe place. Because the love you gave to others was always a reflection of the love that lives inside you. And that love does not disappear just because someone failed to receive it. It is still there, still strong, still beautiful, still waiting to be honored. So tonight, before you close your eyes, remind yourself of this. You are not forgotten. You are not replaceable. You are not too much. You are not too little. You are someone who loved bravely and chose wisely. And somewhere right now, in the silence of someone else's night, your name is being whispered, your memory is being held, and your absence is being felt in every empty corner of a heart that finally understands what it lost. Keep going. Keep healing. Keep choosing yourself. Because the best of your story has not been written yet. And when it is, it will be filled with the kind of love that does not ask you to break yourself into pieces. It will be the kind that holds you whole. You did not just survive. You became. And that is the most beautiful thing a person can do. Remember this always. Your silence was not emptiness. It was the loudest thing you ever said. And they heard it. Every single word of it.